Hey guys, this is Jay, your spiritual INTJ, and welcome to Faith Evolved. And if this is your first time at my channel, welcome. I discuss topics about spirituality, philosophy, and mental health, among other things. And feel free to check the video section out and take a look at the title of the videos. And if you like anything you see, take a watch. And feel free to subscribe if you like this channel, if it resonates with you. Like the videos, and please click the notification bell if you'd like to get notified anytime I release any new videos. So today's topic is about depression, and at the moment, I think I'm on the tail end of a depressive episode. And in the past, I would have depression and anxiety frequently, but I would say about 2 years ago, I fell into a deep depression, went through a dark night of the soul, nearly suicidal. I would say I was a notch below suicidal at one point, where it was just like I didn't have any hope to live. I was struggling hardcore with terrible anxiety, soul crushing depression, and just even OCD and things like that. It was terrible. And sometimes I'm still haunted by those memories and those feelings and emotions. But I would say, since maybe late summer of 2020, I've been feeling better. And when I do get a depressive episode, it doesn't last as long, and it happens far and fewer in between. So today is probably the first time I felt like genuinely depressed, probably in at least a couple weeks. Um, and it started a little bit yesterday, and it was mostly after work today. I was kind of tired, took a little nap, woke up, and sometimes I take naps. I don't feel good after, feel kind of out of it, kind of like not all there, and mostly numb. And then sometimes the numbness turns into emptiness, where nothing seems to excite me. I feel like blah, like numb, just like nothing means anything to me. And that's what I would really define as mild to moderate depression. It's not quite like existential depression or soul crushing depression where you can't get out of bed or do anything, but it's like nothing. Like maybe your favorite song or artist, just like you don't even bother putting the radio on. You find ways to try to distract yourself, but the things that you want to distract yourself with that were fun don't seem to do it for you anymore. So you kind of know at that point you're dealing with depression. And the biggest lie that depression tells me, which I'm sure does the same for others who are dealing with it, is that you're always going to be like this. And as someone who's awakened, I wouldn't consider myself fully enlightened, but I would definitely say I'm awakened, and I'm aware of myself and triggers and thought processes, and self-defeating thoughts specifically, and how I can feed into them and get stuck for hours and days sometimes. But now that I see them, and I've been studying A Course in Miracles and applying those lessons to my life, um, I don't last as long in that state, and I typically find ways to get out of it, or even sometimes prevent myself from even getting into that state in the first place. But when I'm fully in one, it's like, man, you really you know think that you're stuck in it, and like it's always going to be like this, and you can't imagine feeling better. You can't imagine what good feels like. You almost feel like it's like a rug got pulled out from underneath you, or if something good was to happen, it wouldn't mean anything to you. That's what really sucks about depression. Like I said, your favorite artist, or maybe a food that you like, or a TV show, or a video game, and just knowing that none of that stuff's gonna satisfy at that moment because you're so numb and you're so just empty inside. And that's what really sucks about depression. It's a very soul-sucking feeling, soul-sucking state to be in. But if you've been there many times, you also remember times that you weren't depressed. If you really sit there and ponder that, like especially if you're depressed right now, just sit there and think, was I always depressed? No, obviously. And it might have even been earlier this day, or maybe earlier this week, or recently, that you were feeling happy. You were laughing about a funny joke or a funny video that you saw, or you were playing a video game and having a great time. Maybe you're cussing because you sucked and kept getting owned, but you were having a good time. That's me anyway. And you just listening to music and singing along, and if you're a musician, maybe you were playing guitar or bass, singing, and just really into it, just having a good time. Maybe a few days ago you were hanging out with some friends and having good conversations, and totally forgot about your maybe depression or anxiety you were dealing with earlier that day. So right then and there, you are capable of feeling happy. capable of joy, peace, happiness, and just, you know, feeling good. So that right there, you got to hold on to that. You know that you're capable of it. It's been in your experience before. And also, secondly, knowing that this will not last. This too shall pass. And knowing that is, you know, another half of the battle, you know. And then, you know, just realizing that, you know, you have the ability, at least, you know, people say you know, happiness is a choice. Well, depression is a choice too. Now, you can't turn off just like that, the emotion of depression, but you can, you know, turn off feeding into it. And that's what they're really saying, you know, because you're not going to go from depression to happiness in a matter of 1 second. But you can say, you know what, this is not really me. This is a chemical imbalance in my brain right now. This is just some negative thoughts, or, you know, maybe I ate something and it didn't agree with me. Sometimes that'll trigger, you know, digestive issues will trigger negative emotions and depression or anxiety within me, and I know that's been proven for other people as well. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, you know. But in the end, it's all about how you respond to it. You know, do you respond to it with "woe is me" or "I'm screwed," or, you know, responding to every negative thought? Like, a lot of times I'll feel, you know, just negative about, you know, relationships. You know, I'm a single guy, and, you know, overweight. Been working on my health, losing weight, doing weight training and things like that. But I'll get stuck in these thinking modes where I feel like I'm invisible to women, and, you know, I need to lose all this weight, otherwise I'll never be even noticed, and all this stuff. And I get stuck on these trains of thought that, you know, I get stuck in for, you know, sometimes days and weeks at a time, and I have to like snap out of it, you know. And whether that might be true because we're all human beings and we're, you know, wired with, you know, hormones, and we're visual beings. Yeah, I might have to do those things to, you know, be noticed, you know, superficially, but that doesn't mean that there's nothing within me that's worth knowing, you know. And so sometimes we can use those negative thoughts about, superficial ego realities to superimpose them onto our soul reality, you know, and just like and just like feel completely useless and worthless, and that you're never going to get anywhere with your relationships. So I have to. That's, you know, one of my battles. You know, and that's not what precipitated my depression today. I think it's because, you know, I recreationally and medicinally use kratom, and I try to use it, you know, sparingly, like, you know, 2 or 3 times a week, and usually space them out a couple of days. Well, I used it 2 days in a row, and I should have known better because, you know, there's sometimes withdrawals, and sometimes, you know, it's artificially increasing, you know, maybe serotonin or whatever endorphins in my brain that make me feel better, and of course there has to be, you know, what comes up must come down. So I'm probably on the, you know, feeling the adverse effects of using it 2 days in a row, or maybe not. It could just be, you know, some other subconscious process that I fed into. I don't know, but I know it's not going to last, and that's what brings me, you know, some hope. Because every time you have gone through a depressive episode, and this also applies to anxiety. You know, this even applies to OCD. If you struggle with the types of OCD I've struggled with, it never lasts forever. Yeah, it might last, you know, it might happen several times a minute or an hour, but it's not going to last, you know, every single minute, every single day. You are going to get some kind of reprieve. You are going to get a moment of relief. So it's not something you have to feel like it's going to happen forever. It's impossible for your mind to literally get stuck in a, you know, a thought loop of, you know, anything forever. You know, even people that take drugs and experience thought loops. It might feel like in the moment that it's going to last forever, but it never does. So, anyways, hope this has been somewhat helpful to folks. Again, try to remember the times that you were happy, appreciate and be grateful for those. That's one. Number two, realize this is not going to last forever. And lastly, and not least, you know, think about positive things. Anyways, even if you don't want to, even if, like, right now you just don't want to go to the gym, well, use that same energy against it by going to the gym anyways. You know, just rise up with all the courage and muster and bravery that you possibly can, and do it anyways. Why give into it? Why let the depression run you, or the anxiety or OCD or whatever? Just do it anyways, despite it. Get a little angry. And I don't mean like angry, you know, where you're going to do something wrong. Like, get angry at, you know, the fact that it's holding you down, and the fact that you're giving into it. And although I don't believe anger is an appropriate response, holistically, I do believe that you can go from depression to anger to acceptance and then going higher up the scale. As you've seen those scales that show you from the bottom where you're, in complete, shame and guilt, all the way to the top, which is enlightenment. You can move your way up that ladder. You don't have to stay down at the very bottom. And sometimes it takes a little anger. Sometimes it takes acceptance too. And that's a lot. Another thing too is just accepting that. Right now I am depressed, or right now I'm having anxiety. That's okay. Because a lot of this comes down to your inferiority about yourself, and inferiority about yourself towards other people. So a lot of times you are, feeling like you're not good enough. Like I said, with relationships, I struggle with that a lot of times. And, another aspect of this is spirituality, realizing that we're all one, realizing that we're all God's children, and that everybody's our brother and sister, and that no one else is better than you, and you're not better than anybody else, which should mean that we're all worthy, including yourself, including me. We all deserve to get out of this pit of despair and get our self-worth back and be able to self-express and self-realize. Anyways, thanks guys, and God bless.